Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, your Ultra Agent of Ultimate Action, X7, the host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. Today we are going to it is Thursday, that is live action series day, and we are looking at episodes 29, 28, and 29 of Ultraman, the original 1966 series. Our first one is called Human Specimen 5 and 6, although they have more than that. It's got an iconic alien invader in it, although we're not given too much uh, reason as to why the Dada aliens have invaded. But, before we get into it too much, and we talk about buses and superheroes, here we go.
Ultraman, Ultraman, here he comes from the sky. Ultraman, watch our hero fly.
All right, so Ito and Captain Mura are on a bus looking into the mystery of why so many buses have been disappearing here. Ito's falling asleep, and Mura's a little annoyed at him. We also see meet this young lady who um, is that yes, Kaneko Akikawa, who plays Hasaka Tahara. No, I think it's hard to tell with this. So, anyway, this is the 29th, and it was originally 28th episode, originally broadcast in Japan on January 22nd, 1967, directed by Samaji Nanagase, with special effects by Koichi Takano. I'd be willing to bet that the next episode here is by the same two. Yep. Okay, so they're looking for these disappearances. Now, in every Japanese superhero show I've seen, at some point in time, someone related to the hero gets on the bus, and it's driven by Shocker or the Professor Gill's dark destructoids or something, and the bus goes over the cliff. Captain Mura and the young lady right now, they're the only people they can find, but Mura goes down, talks to a guard, and then the lady's gone. So now Ito has got his leg broken, so he's out of the picture, and Hayata is in charge. So this guy comes in and says, warns about Dada, the Dada. And that doesn't the Dada like your father. This is named after Dadaism, the art style, which I find fascinating. An art movement that began in 1915 to 1916. It spread to Japan in 1923. And of course, after the Dada Seijin appeared, it became a famous symbol of Dadaism in Japan. So it's very interesting. It's generally black and white, and it's the movement. A central element that is of Dadaism is the reuse of existing designs and modification of them into new forms. And as someone who dabbles in the art sort of thing, I think that's pretty darn cool. Now, but before we get into this too much longer, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you want to know when content is uploaded every day, please hit the subscription bell. I would really appreciate it. I hope you've got your big old bowl of hummus of perfection, your favorite delivery method, and we'll get right back into this right now here. Cosmic Rays Research Institute, which is obviously a real place. Well, maybe not. Seeing this episode so clearly, even from the DVDs, which I got, the bootleg ones that were licensed through Chayo, that were out legitimately. They were the best bootlegs seen, but just seeing them so clear is so amazing. Because the first time I saw this episode, it was third or fourth generation. Wait till we get to Goldon, which wasn't any generation. But look at these effects, how clear it is. I mean, and The Dada is there, miniaturizing. And unfortunately, this alien, who is a superior alien, is stymied by a locked door. He's not strong enough to open it. He's a wuss. So you can see where this is going to go when he gets in the eventual battle, can't you? Although it's a good battle, good fight scene. There's our miniatures there, little homunculi. Well, they're not exact duplicates. They are the people in their little test tubes, and they're going to be sent back to the Dada planet. Do you wonder, is there another planet in orbit with it that's the Mama planet? That'll be the only one I do, promise. The Dada look great, though. These are great alien designs. There he is in his human form watching the young lady who sees this. Someone has scratched that into the bottom. Never noticed that before. I've watched this episode, I don't know, 10 times, 20 times, who knows anymore. And then Captain Mura breaks in. This is a really a Mura-centric episode, which is nice that they're giving some of the other main characters a bit more to do because he really hasn't been in a central character. But this is fun. He beats him up. He's broken a chair over his head already. And then he zaps him with his spider gun. Or let's see, what does that say there? Oh, in the wrong one again. But he zaps him, and look at bing, boom. It's like he's disco dancing. And then he disappears. So these aliens are just, they get zapped once, they're gone. There's several of them floating about here. And the Dada was played by Kunio Suzuki, and he was grunts a lot, but speaks in English. Anyway, let's get back here. Now they're investigating, and they see that the Dada like gumballs. They call, and Hayata is the only one there now because Ito or Arashi and Fuji are sent out. So he's got to get to him the quickest way possible. And using the beta capsule, Hayata becomes Ultraman right outside Science Patrol headquarters. I like this shot. Now, this suit obviously needs a little bit of repair, which you wouldn't have noticed because the knee is torn up. But they did a lot. I mean, they shot these things concurrently. Dada can fly. His model isn't as well done as Ultraman's. He can also disappear and teleport himself. So this is a problem. But we get a lot of fighting here. We get a lot of wrestling moves. Got some leg scissors, takedown, and a judo throw, or a hip toss, and then even a hurricane rana that takes him down back into the leg scissors. And then an airplane spin. And finally, the kazap, which blasts him in the face. He disappears, comes back into the lab with his face all scarred up. And then Mura kicks him in the face and then pushes him off the cliff, off the edge of the building. Mura gets, he's a tough guy. I can see why he's their captain. And here's a nice little process shot where the hand comes down into the live action. You don't see them leave the hand. They're just there when he moves it away, which is well done. However, Ultraman gets zapped, which is unusual. And then we see him at a human size. And why that the Dada has dropped his little beam weapon there is beyond me, but Ultraman, see here, it's weird to see him at human size because he's been giant. That's the first time. Now in Ultra 7 would be human sized in a dozen or more episodes regularly. So that was not as unusual. This was the first time we saw him the same size as people. But using his superpower, Ultraman becomes giant again. And another fight, boot to the head. And he uses his Ultra Eye. Now, I don't know if that's what that's called. Ultra Vision. We'll call it Ultra Vision. That's cool. To find him. And this looks like he's zapping him with his Ultra Vision, but that is the Spacium Ray. And down goes Dada. Down goes Dada. Rashi and Fuji show up. This is it for them in the whole episode. And everyone's there. They're happy to see Hayata mysteriously. How'd you get here? I flew. And there we see Ito with his broken leg acting like a moron, which is nothing new. All right. And now we're going into our next episode, which is, of course, called the Ultraman Wiki calls it Challenge into Subterra, which is just probably a direct translation. The Subterranean Challenge would be much better as a title, and that's what I'm going to call it. And they do go into the underground, which is cool, and it's especially cool because they use well, anyway. So in Japan, one of Japan's few gold mines, earthquakes are happening. So of course the science patrol is set out to investigate, but Goldon, Goldon appears and causes a bunch of things to happen. Then Ghidra rings the phone. The phone ring is Ghidra's roar, which is just hilarious to me. Do they have anything in here? Yeah, let's look down here a little more. I want to. Does it say? Well, I'm looking here. So, Science Patrol immediately begins their fires. Now, the Goldon eat gold. That's all they do, and that's precious. Much like Kamakujiro, who eats pearls, we can't have a monster actually eating um, precious metal or things that people find. So we got to kill him. This is the guy who tells them about Goldon. They land, and there's three of our heroes. And here's the Pellucidator. Now, in here it calls it the Velucidator, which is kind of a dumb title because it's really, they say Pellucidator. It's named after Pellucidator from Edgar Rice Burroughs at Burrow Underground, and it looks remarkably like the Iron Mole from At the Earth's Core. You can see that anytime you want. You can watch that video. Maybe I'll link it up here. That would be fun if I could. It doesn't even say where they came from. Really, guys? I mean, well, read your Edgar Rice Burroughs. Anyway, so it's really hard to get things to look like they're traveling underground, but they do a good job here for the most part. Looks like they're digging through a huge fossil, which would be a shame, but they fall down, and of course, there's no seatbelts in any of these things. Not a one do they have seatbelts in. But yeah, so they both hit their heads when they fall in, but they pick up a miner who's been injured by Goldon, and then Goldon attacks them. A different Goldon. So there's two, one in its mate. That's a really nice shot there. Kazap! And the one on the ground is getting fired upon by the VTOL, and they have to land, and they shoot it with a bazooka. And here's a nice shot when Fuji gets thrown down the side of a mountain. These Science Patrol members are durable because they get thrown down a lot, and they just she's got a bump on her head. But this Goldon, they actually kill this Goldon without Ultraman's help. So later in a later episode, we'll find out that they have a crisis of confidence, relying on Ultraman too much. Fuji's bleeding. I mean, she doesn't get hurt much, but you can tell. Using the beta capsule, Hayate becomes Ultraman. I like this shot too, just because I caught it with the white background. So, as with any quadruped, Ultraman jumps on its back. Goldon is both a plesiosaur and got a caterpillar body. That was done on purpose. It's an interesting design. I don't know that Goldon's ever shown up again. Four-legged monsters are difficult to pull off properly, don't you? Don't you think? Don't you think? Let's see. So there's the battle going on here. He tries to choke him. Goldon returns the favor. He ties his tail around his head. It's just mean. I know that, well, they weren't even bothering anyone. They were just eating gold, the big babies. Yes, it's the Golden Monster. Goldon, the Golden Monster. Good job. He was in New Ultraman Retsuden, episode 27, Return of the Spark Dolls Theater, flashback cameo. So that's one of the few times. Might show up again as a flashback in the Graveyard of Monsters. We'll find out in a couple more, in 6 more episodes. And it's done. This fight did not even use all of Ultraman's energy, which is kind of nice when his color timer doesn't turn red every once in a while. But then he has to go down and rescue Captain Mura and Ito. So it looks pretty good. He grabs the Pellucidator, sets it on the ground, flies away, and that is the end of the episode with poor little Goldon. 2 Goldons dead for no reason. Are there more down in the depths of the earth? We'll never find out. So there's our episodes. Goldon, you feel sorry for Goldon, not so much the Dada, because they were an invasive species that were probably not going to treat the Earthlings very well if they got many of them. But they've been destroying buses and capturing people. Who knows how many got sent to Dada Planet? Be that as it may, until our next assignment, agents.
In a super jet he comes from a billion miles away, from a distant planet land. Comes our hero, Ultraman.
There we go. So until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off.